Welcome to Two Guys and Mike podcast. I'm your host, Jason Thompson, and my illustrious co-host,
Michael Vincent.
We are here at an undisclosed location in upstate New York, and we are humbled that you're with us. You could be anywhere you want, and you're choosing to be enjoying your evening with us. Wow.
Wow, a little ad-lib there.
Yeah. You know, sometimes the inspiration comes to me. So tonight we're going to have a couple of guests. We have Jake Schweikert and my dad, James Thompson, and we're going to discuss UFOs, extraterrestrial visitors, and whatnot.
Well, actually, the UFO is kind of outdated now. Now, what do they call them? UAPs?
Well, no, they're two different things.
Oh,
So,
okay.
unidentified aerial phenomenon is different than unidentified flying object.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
So what's the
Wow.
difference?
Well,
Let's
so
dive
get
right into
it.
this.
So,
Well, hold on. Before we go any further, Jake, tell us a little about yourself.
so I've known Jason for a very long time. My father and him were friends. We grew up together. I'm a construction manager. I love aliens. Anything to do with aliens.
Illegals too?
No. Extraterrestrials for clarification.
Just want to clarify.
Yeah. I love everything outdoors and all the mysteries that come surrounding the history around aliens. Really, they've been in our world for hundreds of thousands of years. There's proof everywhere. There's historical documents everywhere. It's just the whole thing fascinates me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you a flat earther?
No.
Okay, trying to make sure. We like to ask all our
Before we
guests
go, I'd ask you to leave.
because that'll kind of determine which way we're going to go with this.
Not going to go down that road right now.
To be fair though, I haven't delved into it enough to
Well,
not
let's
be a
not.
flat earther.
Because then I would discredit everything you're going to say. So, really quick around the room, and I will include Jay in this question. UFOs, yes or no, Jay?
Yes, I do believe, yes.
Mike,
Oh, absolutely.
There's definitely life outside of this planet.
it would be pretty vain if it wasn't, if we only thought that. I think there is, absolutely. Dad?
Absolutely.
And of course, we know where you're at, Jay.
Of course.
So tell us a little how you got into the whole alien thing and your passion for it and everything else.
Yeah, so it all started, my brother, Hank, and I, who you've met, we were outside. We were probably 10, 11, somewhere in that range. Middle of winter, 2 feet of snow on the ground. We had a path in the backyard carved out for our dogs that we would walk. And
Chloe?
I don't think she was around at that point.
No?
No, it was prior to Cleo.
Cleo. I'm sorry.
So, we were walking these two dogs. I remember it was a Doberman and a Saint Bernard or something, and it was 7, 8, 9 at night, pitch black. The entire sky behind my father's house just lit up like the same blue color as on your light bar right here. Yeah. The whole sky. Prior to that happening, let me back up. The dogs started freaking out, barking, yipping, and I figured coyotes. We were in the country. No, whole sky lit up. We saw the ship come over, and then it was a concentrated blue light, and it didn't shine on us. It shone in the field on the edge, and then zipped off. Never saw it again.
Wow. So around here?
Oh, yeah, up in Mechanicville. My father's
Tabor
house.
Road area.
Tabor Road off Exit
Wow.
10.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was me, my brother, and I. So I know, it wasn't me having a dream or something. We went back inside freaking out. We're 10.
Yeah. Too young to be drinking.
Too young to be drinking.
What was Dad's response?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
That's why he's an alien.
I know my
Have you met his dad?
Yeah.
I know my mother had called the police to report it, and there was like 112, I believe is the number sticking in my head, calls about the same thing.
Really?
That night, yeah.
Does the Aurora Borealis ring a bell here, possibly?
It does, but I've been to Alaska, so it wasn't that.
All right.
No.
Wow.
Well, I mean, very rarely the Aurora Borealis is blue anyways. It's
Very
usually
true.
green or purple.
Yeah, very
Blue
true.
is, would be,
I've seen them blue.
well, we don't.
They were very, very. You see them all the time in Montreal.
Yeah, but then it's not blue, it's green.
You have all
Yeah, but-
all different colors. Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, but from the pictures from the Aurora Borealis and what I've seen,
Different.
it's wavy and this was
Fixed light.
it was a fix. I mean, the whole sky was just lit up,
Wow.
this blue,
Like
and
a
then
big
the
glow.
yeah, it was a glow, and then the focus spotlight.
Wow.
We're not alone.
Yeah, no. I'll
way.
tell you, one time when I was a kid, we used to live in just outside of Montreal, and my parents had gotten me a telescope, and I used to love and was fascinated with the moon. And I used to sit. We had a porch off of one of the bedrooms, and I used to sit my telescope looking at the moon, and I can remember as clear as it was yesterday. There was a small object that left the moon, and it went away from the moon, and
There are actually a
Clear
lot
as
of
day.
those that are that
Yes.
they post all the
Yes.
time.
All the time.
different, completely different ones.
100%.
It's not like it's the same one they're showing over
no,
and over again.
And
100%.
It's
Yeah.
like these little triangular objects that come off the moon and they take off.
Yep.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories about the moon being a space base,
A
if you
base
would.
station, yeah.
Yeah.
On the dark side of the moon.
Yeah. Yep.
And
You know,
those
I'd say I wouldn't be surprised if we actually had a base on the moon and we didn't know it.
I wouldn't.
No,
either.
the general population doesn't know, but military and governments all know that we're up there.
Yeah.
I that wouldn't surprise me at all.
So let me tell you a fun fact, right?
Fun fact. I love
Fun
fun
fact.
facts. Woohoo!
All right, so a lot of people delve in, they'll watch Ancient Aliens, something like that, right? One thing a lot of people don't know about octopus actually are not from this planet.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So
So what's the theory on that?
Well,
Where
did you
are
ever
they
watch
from
War of
then?
the Worlds that Tom Cruise was in? They look like a giant octopus.
yeah. No, so the theory behind it
Watch
is
that? Ah,
so in DNA, all DNA for all creatures on, Mother Earth, there's 4 proteins, and DNA is a makeup and a roadmap to life for forming proteins. But there's only 4, so you can only create 64 combinations of that. Octopi and squid both have 33,000 more gene combinations than humans do.
Okay.
It's the only outlier on the face of the planet.
really?
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Now, that combined with their extensive nervous system, right? It's great. It's more intricate than a human being's. And then from brain to body size, their brains are actually larger than ours. And the fact that they're intelligent, they can escape, they can solve puzzles.
Well,
The theory is that they came in a frozen meteor, like the eggs of one from another planet, whether it be in our solar system or not,
Yeah.
crashed here on a meteor, thawed, and then thus, octopi. Because think about it.
So it had to be an exoplanet.
Sure, could have been. But think about it. They have instant technology or capability to change color, to camouflage. What other creature does that?
Yeah, but so do chameleons.
Chameleon.
That's not instant.
Well, no.
it's a
not.
gradual.
It's a gradual, sure.
It's a gradual. You're right. Yeah.
But chameleons don't have the nervous system, the brain, or the 33,000 genes that
Yeah.
humans don't.
Yeah.
Right? So when you say extraterrestrial, that's one that we know about. And then, there's so many studies. There's military operations. There's, Operation Blue Book, which transformed from,
Yeah.
I want to say paperclip, but that's not it. That was a World War II one. There's been so many investigations and videos recently released. I think Congress came out in 23 and
Yeah, and they came out and they said that UFOs do exist, and
Yeah.
nobody even blinked an eye on it.
No.
Of course not.
Well, in 1970, there was a U.S. pilot. I think his name was Schaefer. I'm not sure. That was scrambled to take after a supposed UFO. The plane was never seen again. When it was found several years later, the canopy was still closed, but there was no body. And the body has never been found.
not
That was,
surprising.
that was in 1970.
I'll have to look that one up. That's really
Yeah, it's in
not
1970.
surprising. But
I just
think it-
looked up
I think it happened in-
octopus. Just
think it
Google
happened-
it, and it
either
says
happened in
DNA.
Sweden or Portugal or Italy. One of those 3 countries. I forget which one.
Okay.
Been a long time since I've read about that stuff. But
Huh, look at that. If you, DNA proves octopus are aliens.
yeah,
yeah,
yep, yeah. It's not theory; it's been proven.
Actually proven, yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, and we know
Quite
about it.
quite the revelation here.
Yeah,
that's why I've heard that before, but I didn't realize
okay.
it was
Then
because
here's
of the
my
DNA.
here's my
Yeah.
next, here's my
Yeah.
next question. We all basically agree that UFOs exist. There's no doubt about it. As far as I'm concerned, there's no doubt about it. What I want to know is, have aliens ever been in touch with human beings? And if so, why don't we know about it?
I-
Other than Nicholas Tesla.
I think that we have.
We can go on for days about that.
I think we have absolutely been in contact. I think that's how you can probably answer all the advancements that happen so quickly in a short amount of time. And I just
Reverse
think
engineering?
no, I don't even think it's that. I think it's like
Giving us the information.
giving us the information to move us forward to where they want us to eventually get. Kind of like if you're a Star Trek guy and you watch
Yeah.
specifically the Enterprise series where the Vulcans
Exactly.
are helping humanity along, but only giving them enough to get them to a point, but then they got to evolve on their own. I think that is definitely what's happening. And I think the reason why it has not come out is it would cause such chaos, especially in religion.
So,
That it would-
you're saying that if a spaceship landed in Central Park and aliens beings got out, you would have mass suicides of people who are...
I never once said that. I don't know how you
but
left to that.
that would be the obvious jump.
And I don't see how you get that at all.
Well, can you imagine the people who...
Well, you might think that, but that's not what I said.
I'm saying that would be the obvious next statement to make.
Why would it be?
Because
Just because people...
if you have linear thinking, that's how it would be.
I don't think that
I
at
don't know
all.
about mass suicide, but there'd
No.
be mass hysteria. If
Oh,
that,
I
like,
would-
for
I would
sure.
think
you'd have
hysteria.
Most like the
Yeah.
War of the
I would
Worlds
think-
when they did
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah,
You know,
war-
yeah,
the
just
war-
like World War
you
World.
had,
Yeah.
you had
There
people
were people that
jumping off
actually committed
buildings in
suicide
New York
over that.
City.
Yeah, because they were afraid of being caught by aliens. Then.
Yeah, and so
not
they-
because
so they
not
jumped
because
off
they.
buildings.
I think what would happen. I don't think that would happen at all. I think what would happen is there will be massive questioning on what we've been taught for years and about God and religion and everything else. I think that's where you'd have your hysteria, and
Well,
probably turn to the government.
Actually, the Pope has made comments about UFOs, about alien.
Yes, he has.
Yes, he has. And
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And he's acknowledged that there's a possibility.
Look at
of
Jay's
it
on that
being there.
computer right now. Goddamn Pope! I'm gonna check
I'm
this
not
guy
sure
out.
which Pope is the one
Well-
that said it, but I do remember that happening.
Yeah,
I
it
would
was
probably say
Well, to quote...
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Quote Carl,
Benedict.
No.
Sure, whoever it was 2 years ago.
Wasn't Benedict 2 years ago?
No.
No.
No. It's whoever is now Pope Francis.
Pope
Okay.
Francis.
Yeah,
But
2 years ago.
to quote Carl Sagan, there are so many billions and billions and billions of stars that there's no way it is physically possible not to have some kind of an alien life form out there. It's just
Correct.
possible.
Statistically
Yeah,
impossible.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now
So-
the question
Francis.
is whether or not they can travel from where they are to where we are, or vice versa. That's the question that's up in the air. in
I
everybody's
think
mind.
that they absolutely have come by,
Yep.
and they look down and say, "Well, lock the windows and lock the doors because we don't want to go near there."
That's right.
That's a tough neighborhood, guys.
So
There is
tough-
a theory out there that why man has never gone back to the moon.
They
is
found
that
something.
The governments have been told by the aliens, you people are crazier than a frickin' nut house. We don't want you in outer space until you guys get your act together.
Well, they say that about Antarctica and the ice wall.
Yeah.
well,
Flat Earthers do.
it would make sense given the fact. I mean, and the most recent video was in 2017 of the UFO that it was released publicly. They launched a test nuke, or no, they were getting ready to launch a test nuke. It was a base in Nevada, I believe.
Yeah, it's just it's about 75 miles from.
Yeah, off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, off it. Air Force Base.
Yeah.
The control panel down in the launching station
Failed.
stopped, turned off,
Yeah.
completely turned off during a test. You go in. I mean, we're not analog anymore. We're digital. You can track. There's dump files like memory dumps on everything. No dump file, no anything as to why it shut off. And there's older videos from the 90s to early 2000s of when we were launching, nuclear bombs up. Of, I forget the actual date of the incident, but anyways, you can see the saucer fly around the nuke head, shoot a laser at it, nuke's disarmed, done.
I've seen that one.
You seen that one?
Yeah, I absolutely have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That was pretty cool.
yeah. So telling us not to go back to the moon makes sense because we are now. We're animals.
So you're going to tell me that Mr. SpaceX is defying the aliens by?
He's not launching nukes.
No.
Oh no,
He's
absolutely not.
exploring.
That's correct.
Right. So
So you think they're okay with us exploring? They're just not okay with us militarizing
I
space.
think
Right.
they're not. I think that we're never going to get any further than the moon right now if we ever go back because
Well, we're already on Mars.
no, we don't have any human beings on Mars.
Well, that's what they're working on now.
Elon Musk is working on that by, was it 2028?
2028, I believe, is when he was going to have that drill rig ready to set up and
Yep.
self-sustain.
So funny enough, there's a company that we do business with that actually has moon rock samples and is figuring out a way to use the material that's on the moon to use 3D printers using that material to make building blocks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
that-
incredible.
So that they can send machinery up and start automated building block manufacturing so that when we show up, we have materials pre-made to start building homes or
That's
start building
fantastic.
structures. Or something.
If you want to go to conspiracy theory, I believe that whoever gave us AI to develop AI, it was put there so we will kill ourselves in the next 10 years. Because,
Okay.
yes, AI will wind up having.
And where did you hear this from?
That's a whole other
No, that's
podcast.
just- no. It's just that if the aliens have given you AI, knowing that you have you will eventually develop a computer software program into a robot
Skynet.
that can self replicate
I mean,
and grow
that's what
from
you're
it.
talking about. You're talking
Sarah
about Skynet.
Connor.
Pardon?
Huh?
I didn't hear what you said.
Sarah Connor, Terminator.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
No, AI. So that's for another podcast, sure. But I can
Yeah,
actually
we
give you.
can incorporate it in this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so AI was actually developed back in the 80s.
Well, I understand that. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, but so I'm a
But
huge.
we haven't had the computer technology to be able to benefit from it until now because computer technology
Not
is
true.
such that- well,
Not true. I'm a huge computer geek. I know this.
So am I.
So, well, not true. So all it is an if-then language.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. So we've always had the technology to be able to utilize it.
Yeah, but we didn't have the computing power.
We didn't
Haven't
have
had
the computing
That's
power,
what I meant.
right.
We didn't have the technology wasn't there to use that information. Is that every 7 years, computer technology used to double every 7 years.
Yeah. Now it's every.
Now
year.
it's every year or 18 months. It's doubling.
Yeah.
You reach the point eventually that you and I become redundant because we can't respond to anything that's going out there.
Right.
And that's my feeling. Is that so? What's going to happen? Are you going to have a whole bunch of human beings counting grass and sand on the beach because they can't contribute anything?
Well, nothing's
if-
ever going to take away from human labor, though.
Oh, I
Well,
disagree
I
with that.
disagree with that 100%.
You know, bricklayers are being replaced by
That's
AI.
right.
So sure,
You know,
bricklayers are. Bricklayers
they're,
are.
they're starting to 3D manufacture whole entire homes.
Yes.
New build, yes.
You know,
new
so-
builds, I agree with. But think about this: you have a renovation project, right?
I think
Why would you
those are-
renovate your house for say $100,000 with you, and then instead I can hire Mike's robots to come in and for $50,000 scrap the house and build a brand new one?
agree with that completely. Think about this: the population is increasing, right? We're building. As you do that, we have more infrastructure with this stupid go green crap.
Well, I think
We're-
that's why they're going for the 15-minute cities.
Sure, exactly. But with those 15-minute cities, you are crossing over sewer lines, you're crossing over power lines, you're crossing over everything under the sun where, God forbid, your machine breaks one of those lines. It's a catastrophic failure of whatever is being supplied. Then if people can't charge their cars, eventually when it gets to that point, God forbid, then you
Well,
have no sewer line.
I don't think you're ever going to get rid of all labor. I think what's going to happen is, for argument's sake, let's say a DPW needed 100 workers to make that town work.
Sure.
You're going to be down to 3 guys.
I agree with that.
So the problem is you're
So
going to
what,
have massive
what happened to the
unemployment.
other 97 guys? Count grass and sand on the
That,
beach?
and that is why
And
I
that's
grow
why-
my own
well,
garden and
that-
shoot my own
That's
deer.
also why I think Andrew Yang was big on universal basic income, because he
course
saw
he
that
Yeah.
coming.
Because
Yeah,
it's coming,
yes.
whether you're willing to accept it or not. If you look at the development of technology over the last 50 years only, 50 years.
I would go even less than that.
We have replaced, over the last 50 years, probably 40% of labor in manufacturing,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah.
And so Take that, and now we're growing exponentially as far as replacing labor. So in 5 or 10 years from now, you're going to have 90% of the workforce is not working anymore. They're not. Because if you want to cut your lawn now, you can go out tomorrow and you can buy a robot lawnmower that now runs off the GPS system, and it'll cut your lawn, and you do bugger all about it.
You could even make designs in your front grass
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
based on GPS. But I think we're meandering here, which we have a habit of doing.
No,
But
what
as
brought this
far
on-
as aliens go,
What brought this on is that my feeling is that the alien technology was given to us to make the next step. The next step being the robotics life form, that we then become useless. We were put on this earth to develop a technology or a robot system that would continue into the universal library, if you wish.
so you think aliens gave us technology to make ourselves obsolete and die off?
Very much so.
So what would be the benefit of that?
Because we are the most inefficient.
That's not what we're saying. What would be
That's
what would be
why.
the benefit of the aliens to kill off humanity? What do they get out of it?
Because, well,
No.
If they were advanced enough to
No.
begin with, why would they do
Yeah.
something like that?
Wait, they
Yeah.
wouldn't if they're that advanced. Let's back up.
They would just nuke the planet. And be
Yeah.
done.
Have you guys heard?
No,
You guys have.
Why would you destroy a beautiful planet just to get rid of the life form? We do it all the time. We kill ants, we kill bugs, we kill all kinds of things that we find useless. We do it all the time.
Yeah, but we have the technology. We use the best of the technology that we have in order to do so. Chemicals, spray on, step on,
Okay.
burn water, right?
Yeah.
If they have the capability to come here and travel here through
They can much
from
more
other
easily
planets,
destroy
they
us
can
than-
easily just wipe us out. Especially, let's
plane-
go back to your
the plane-
incident with
the
the
plane-
airplane where the guy went missing.
Yeah.
They could just
Right?
abduct us
They
all.
just get rid of us. But let's back up a second. So you guys have heard the thing about the missing link, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the missing link, the DNA and the DNA and us now, going back and comparing to prior to that missing link, is not the same.
Okay.
So our,
It is
D-
not
our
the
DNA
same.
has changed.
Our DNA has changed, and they can't identify the starting point of where. So not just change. So change with the proteins I was talking about before. They can morph, just like evolution. We have more DNA, like extra strings in our DNA. Right? So, with that being said, it coincides with the Sphinx, for instance, right?
Yeah.
In Egypt. That is way older than anyone thinks. Because there's watermarks from when the Nile was actually up to the pyramids. There's visible water damage marks you see on riverbanks around here when
Yeah.
you're fishing or whatever.
Yeah.
That's on the Sphinx, right? That was a previous structure. So we're going back hundreds of thousands of years. Hundreds of thousands of years. Where was that? So back to what you were saying, why would they come down, insert their DNA in us to allow us to be smart, grow, be capable?
Experimentation.
For what? But to what end?
We do it to cows. We do it to horses. We do it to pigs.
But
Yeah, we eat
pigs,
them,
yeah,
we
but pigs
consume them.
provide us meat.
Are we going to become their?
But why wouldn't they do that already? We're talking about hundreds of thousands of years.
But if you are able to travel those speeds,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I find that when we talk about aliens and time frames, we base everything on our lifespan.
Oh, so
which-
now they're
which-
time travelers?
which is infinitesimal.
Well, I'm basing it off of the hundreds of thousands of years of history and research
Okay,
I've
so
done.
possibly the time to experiment on you and I that takes 100,000 years might be nothing. Might be a day in their lifetime. We use
Could be.
fruit flies to experiment with because their lifespan is like one day.
Yeah.
So perhaps our lifespan is one day in their lifespan.
But why do we experiment with fruit flies?
To get better, to find drugs, to find reasons to improve the life form.
So 98% of all drugs on the market right now are actually derived from plants. Just so you know. So we don't experiment with animals for that. But
I would think that
98% of all drugs on the market right now are derived from plants.
I think most come from oil.
No. So that's the mechanism of delivery. The derivative, the actual
okay,
chemical
yeah,
makeup
yeah.
is a derivative of plants.
Yeah, I don't.
So
yeah.
for them to be experimenting on us,
Yeah.
we don't serve a purpose to them. And if we did, they would have utilized that, i.e. gold.
And the reason why they use fruit flies to test things is because of their increased metabolism because they die so quickly.
And-
So they want to see if it works.
I understand, but if you were an alien who lives, say, 500 years, a couple of years in our lifespan means nothing to them.
But why would they waste
were-
the energy?
Yeah,
if
why
there's
would
no
they?
end?
You're not. We do that to aliens, to fruit flies, to augment our lifestyle, our life.
Okay.
So, injecting. I mean, what you're suggesting doesn't make anything better.
Do you remember the Star Trek program where they found the planet? Where everybody was in a globe.
Okay.
The whole society lived inside of a ball, a glass ball. And they were using it. The aliens were using this human-type life form, cities, living, dying, having children, working.
I think that was a Men in Black.
In this ball, in this glass ball. And we might be that glass ball. You might wake up tomorrow and you look up in the sky and you're seeing a goddamn big golf club coming down. Because
Okay.
Well, that's a far stretch.
What do you got in that Keystone over there?
That's not key. That's a special liner.
now, I'm not saying that I mean, I fully agree with you that there are aliens out there. But I don't necessarily agree with the reasons that most people think that we haven't seen them. I think that the reason why we haven't seen them, they don't want us to see them because we are a test tube for them. That's what I believe. I've been wrong more often than not. So
Everything's a theory until it's proven, you know.
Exactly.
I think there's X, Y, and Z, right? 3 dimensions. I think that there's the fourth, which we can't quantify yet.
Yeah.
It's time, it's space.
Yeah.
There's a fourth dimension, and they have the ability. Which, fun fact, there's actually a patent, a U.S. patent, that the Army heavily investigated for interdimensional travel.
Okay.
It's patented, all right? If they can travel in between their dimension and ours, you know, for whatever reason they're coming
That's
here.
the fourth dimension.
It's the fourth dimension, right? The first alien abduction recorded in U.S. history was in 1958 by a farmer. He saw an egg-shaped spaceship come down.
Yeah.
Okay? We see that, but then we don't see their daily operations. Who knows what they're doing?
Yeah.
You know, you have cattle mutilations that are...
Yeah, they can't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to do it as a human. You have your crop formations. They've been proven
cloud
to do
formation,
some of them.
That's
It's like,
Somebody's got an awful lot of time on their hands, though.
well, some British guys did.
No.
They recreated it
They did,
years
yes,
back.
they did. I read that. I watched
Yeah, they
that.
did. They did a good job, but they didn't do it in the amount of time of overnight.
Correct.
That was the problem.
Correct. Yeah.
So, like, what are they doing here? I don't know. Is our government talking to them? Absolutely, 100%.
What's your thought on what's the panel's take on Area 51?
In what aspect? Is it real?
Is it real? What do you think is going on there? Do we actually have aliens stockpiled there? Do we have alien technology in hangars? What do you think?
Start with you.
I'd say yes to all that. I definitely would think that we would have had that technology to have the technology we have now in a lot of our airplanes, our fighter pilots. How did all that come about?
Reverse engineering.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as far as Area 51 as a base goes, well, sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry, pops.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Go ahead. I don't think there's anything in Area 51 anymore, because in what was it 47
Yep.
when that
Roswell.
when that alleged thing, well, those happened at a town about 75 miles from Roswell.
Mm-hmm.
But when the farmer found these bits and pieces, and a day later, they came out in a newspaper. The Army, yes, it was an alien spaceship. We found this spaceship, and we found bodies, blah blah blah. And then a day later, they changed it all.
Pull it back.
But so if there was at any time, let's suppose it did happen, give them the benefit of the doubt, they did have a ship, and they were able to reverse engineer. There is no way they're going to keep that in Roswell.
Nope.
No, that's going to be someplace else in the North America, or maybe someplace else in the moon. Who knows? But it's not going to be near Roswell.
No way.
There's no excuse for that, and I don't think there's anything at Roswell other than Andrews Air
Well,
Force
Area 51 is not Roswell, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It is.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is Roswell.
I mean,
Well,
Roswell is
the
when
town.
collectively, socially speaking, when you say Roswell,
Yeah.
that's the town. It's a 75 miles south or whatever it is of Andrews.
Of Andrews Air Force Base.
But here's the thing, though. with Area 51, right? Look at how much money we're spending on stupid shit with this administration, right?
Yeah.
Wars,
Wars, DEI, all the dumb shit.
woke shit.
Well, yeah, right. Woke liberal crap. That's
Dropping
like
the
that's
budget.
that's the stuff that we see. So then you have closed budget spending money on. Why would we, as the public, know the name of the base, where it is, what it is,
Exactly.
how it is? We wouldn't.
No.
So that's a distraction. So that stuff is stored somewhere else for sure. Like you have your known Cheyenne Mountain. You guys ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah, so Cheyenne Mountain is like end of the world bunker in the side of a mountain in Wyoming, or I can't think of the state, but it's in the United States.
Yeah. Cheyenne Mountain. I'm trying to think where the hell it is.
If anything, it's in Cheyenne Mountain.
It
Yeah.
is.
If anything,
Yeah.
That could be because I've seen a documentary on the Cheyenne Mountain, what they would show you.
yeah,
I mean, you could drive two tanks side by side down those entranceway, and
yeah,
the doors, the blast doors they have in Cheyenne Mountain are unbelievable. You could set off a nuclear bomb right at the front door. Wouldn't do any harm at all.
nothing. Wouldn't touch it, and it's not the only front door. That's just the
yeah,
entrance.
that's what you see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Air purge system, clean you
I
back.
think if it does exist, I agree. It's going to be someplace like Cheyenne Mountain,
Yeah.
or a secret base, something that we don't know about. But to that point, they have to have people working there.
Yeah,
Eventually, somebody's going to have a big mouth and say something.
Mm-hmm.
You've had people come out and say, yes, there were aliens. Yes, we found bodies. Other guys contradict them. You've had the government contradict all of them.
Which brings you to the Men in Black.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. The Men in Black.
Proven
so the-
and so many stories about them
Yeah.
all over the country. Now, fun
Yeah.
fact to
And,
think
and all
about.
they do is do damage control.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And a lot of times when they present themselves to these people that, have big mouths,
Yeah.
every single report you talk to them, they're like, they don't look human.
Yeah.
The men in black physically coming to approach them don't look human. Their skin isn't right or something.
Oh, you mean like our president did during the?
Oh, his little skin fold back there?
Yeah, weird, right? I'm glad I'm not the only one
Alien,
that saw
dude.
that.
Alien.
God, that was.
All day.
And his eyes were so beady.
All day.
Anyways, I'm glad you saw that too.
Ooh, yeah. How could you miss it? I mean, like, what is that?
But so what would be the reason why you'd want to do damage control the way they're doing damage control if the eventual goal is to incorporate yourself into the population?
I don't think they want to incorporate into the population.
So
I don't.
So you don't think resistance is futile? You're going to be absorbed?
I think that to an extent we are. I don't want to say an experiment, but I think to an extent they are watching. Just like we oversee other countries, right? Third world countries that are upcoming. We oversee their democratic or
Exactly.
whatever.
but the whole point of us doing that is so that we can eventually build commerce and relations
Correct.
and everything else.
Correct.
Do you think that's what they're?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think they're
So-
coming over to take over because they would have already. Like, what do we have, right?
Yeah.
We're basically, especially against a traveler who can basically travel through time and space. Like, what are we going to do? Launch a nuclear bomb that we have on video. They can disable it when they want,
Yeah.
right? No, I think they're coming. They want us to be an ally, or not necessarily a military ally, but like a resource of some kind. Not maybe our flesh, but
our resources on the planet.
there's a lot of history in Aztec and actually any ancient history. They just found.
They say the pyramids were conduits of power,
Oh yeah.
shooting power into arrays
There's no other.
above the earth.
Absolutely.
Because the caps used to be made of gold.
Absolutely.
And the linings inside the pyramids were conduits of power.
Yep. And
That's why there was water.
And in the base of the pyramids, there was hundreds of gallons of mercury. Right? What's
Yep.
mercury good for? Cheating at a fishing competition, killing somebody, or separating water and dirt from gold.
Yeah.
So, right, if you have gold, I don't know how it would work. But fun fact about Egypt, too. Have you ever seen?
He has a lot of fun facts. I like these games.
So I'm telling you, I love ancient history, especially with extraterrestrials. So have you ever seen the boreholes that they make, the cores?
Yeah.
Did you know that after measuring all their spiral cut marks, like you can see a cut mark if you
I
have
saw
fresh
that.
pine
Yes,
saw?
I saw that. Yeah, that's quite a story. That is.
It is quite a story.
Yeah.
Their cut rate, their feed rate of the drill bit is 500 times more faster than anything we currently possess in technology.
I watched that program on that. But they,
Yeah.
they didn't say 500. I forget. They said a lot, but they didn't say 500. Whatever they said doesn't really.
I
matter.
double checked it before I came
But
here
it doesn't.
today.
Really, but they,
Yeah.
they-
I was like, I want to make sure I have this right.
yeah,
It's
because
500
I
times.
remember it was a tremendous amount.
Yeah, and you're talking about cutting into granite.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the hardest
Well,
stone that we have.
Absolutely.
I also think that,
Next to diamond.
I mean, obviously, we don't have accurate information for the most part. I think people were much bigger back then.
Oh, yeah.
I think living
Oh, yeah.
amongst giants,
Yep.
where, yeah, the stone looks huge, but to an ant, this is huge, but to us, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think that humans built the pyramids. I think they were
No
built
way.
by giants.
No way. Especially given the fact that what you just said about it being a conduit of power,
Yeah.
right? We don't know. We're just now.
There's a fellow who's dead now in Florida, and it's called the Coral Castle. And he built this Coral Castle all by himself.
Yeah.
And the people who knew him at the time while he was building this said that he could move this. He had some kind of magnetic stuff that he could take coral rocks weighing tons and tons all by himself, and he could move them and stack them. And I visited that Coral Castle. There's one rock there that has to be as tall as in here almost, and has to weigh at least 25 or 30 tons, and you can touch it with a finger and it'll just rotate.
Fine, but how do you explain Chichen Itza in Peru? Or I call it chicken pizza because I hate pronouncing it.
Yeah, chicken pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or any of the other.
Any of the Mayan ones, yeah.
How do you explain that? I mean,
And it's easy to rotate something in a fixed location. Start moving it around,
Yeah.
like putting it up on multiple tiers.
No,
Yeah.
you
So-
can't. This is one particular rock. How would you be able to move that? He never had any workers. It's just outside of Miami. He had no workers. He was all by himself all the time.
well, see,
And
that's
he built this. Look up the
Yeah.
Coral Castle.
ancient technology. It's hidden. It's
That's-
lost to
Well,
time.
I
just
saw
like
that. They were talking about it. He did it through. He was saying he did it through sound waves.
I'm sorry.
He said he did it through sound waves.
Yep.
Well, whatever. He did it something or other.
Yeah.
And he was able to
Well,
levitate
there's
it and
a
move things
theory
around by
that
himself.
So-
everything in life
Yep.
has its own particular vibration, and if you can find that vibration, you can control it.
Everything has its own megahertz.
Yeah.
On vibration, they just discovered last year that beetle wings
Yeah.
vibrate or has the megahertz of vibration that, and I'm gonna jack this up, but look it up. They have the power of levitation without
Well, yeah, they
without
flop and
moving.
lift the beetle up.
No, without moving.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Wow, the
Yeah.
beetle's wings lift them up.
Beetle's wings lift them up without moving, Jason.
Not moving their wings.
Yeah.
And now you know why I have a difficult time conversing with my son. to keep him on track, is you'd need walls 4 foot thick and 10 feet high each side just to keep him on track.
Go to Cheyenne Mountain. They have
There
them there.
you go. Yeah.
Keeping me on track is like herding cats.
They're pushing a wet noodle.
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
that's gross.
So how do you guys feel about all of the most recent events with Congress saying, yeah, okay, UFOs are real?
I have to say, I was really, really surprised that they so openly admitted that the sightings were real
Yeah.
and that they have had not communication, but interactions with UAVs. UAVs.
UFOs and UAPs.
UAPs.
Yeah.
And yet, what I was shocked mostly is that people were unaffected. It was a blip on the radar.
Didn't cause a panic.
It's like people didn't even hear it. It was noise. Like, okay, whatever.
Well,
I was
think
kind of
that-
surprised by that.
Yeah.
I'm not, because we have seen so many movies and TV programs about aliens and starships and all of them, that we've become desensitized to the fear of having aliens around.
That's a good point.
You know,
Yeah, but there's one thing. I also think that there's one thing for having it being spoken, and another thing about seeing it.
There is.
I
There
think
certainly
if
is.
a little green man came out of a weird flying saucer, people would panic.
Oh yeah.
Like, what the?
what if it was a beetle?
What the fuck is going on?
You know what I mean? It's, you know, so
Well, we don't know.
We don't
right?
know.
We only
don't
have
know.
the.
Well, we just assume that alien life is going to be humanoid. Alien life doesn't have to be
Could be
humanoid.
anything.
No way.
could
if
be
you
an
go,
octopus.
No way. Well, they are aliens. But if you go back in history, all ancient histories have the same
Yeah, humanoid.
freaking thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
humanoid.
Yeah.
In one form or another, it's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 eyes.
Exactly. Yeah.
All of history. I mean, as far back as you can go. You know, and back to your giant it's not even a theory. They're all huge.
Huge.
Huge. So why not? You know, the average height of humans has been increasing over the years.
Yes.
Granted,
That has
But
to do
that
with-
has
that
your
has to do with
diet, diet
nutrition and
medicine
diet.
because
Yeah, no, I know.
During the Revolution, the
Americans
the,
were taller than most
the
because
French Revolution, the average soldier was 4'6".
what?
Yeah.
and Americans were usually taller because they were better fed.
Yes, because I went to the Musée des Vieux Combattants when we were racing in France, and you saw all the stuff they had. I mean, the damn things were this tall.
They're all Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
4'6".
Well, Napoleon Bonaparte was barely 4.5 feet tall.
Isn't that technically a midget? Anybody?
Well, to
By
us,
today's standards. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
answering that because my wife's 4'11".
yeah.
It's 4'11", not 4'6". I love Gina. She's okay.
We're gonna have to tell.
What she
Gina-
lacks in height, she makes up in stature.
Yeah. Or a nose.
Well, it just makes you wonder, you know? It makes you wonder however we got to where we are now. We know there's a missing link. We don't have it. We have extra DNA. We have physical proof of that. We have sightings here, sightings there. You know, Roswell, the lieutenant colonel from Andrews, when Roswell happened, actually did an interview with David
Yeah.
Brock, something like that.
Blanchard.
I'd jack it up either way, but he did an interview with it, and he actually said that they took a living creature and kept it alive for 5 years after the fact. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm ex-military. Lieutenant colonels, like, few and far between that they're going to be jackasses and lie about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're paid for misinformation to, you know, disguise the American people like our lovely administration likes to do now. But still, there's some credence to it, right? The amount of advancement in technology since Roswell happened. And mind you, Roswell is just on American soil. We didn't
Yeah,
get
right.
reports from China, Russia, Germany, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened
Yeah.
over
Not
there?
just happening
Yeah.
there.
The biggest one I think that happened over Portugal, where they had almost for like a year and a half period, they had this mysterious lights in the sky for days on end.
Oh, way.
That was in Portugal.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. There was some instances of that here. It happened over California in 74.
Yeah.
And then there was an incident over Newark. Over the airport in Newark. In the late 80s that happened.
But I also noticed that a lot of times, whenever there's increased hostility
Yes.
in our planet, we tend to have more frequent sightings
Yep.
and more frequent visitations,
Yes. Absolutely.
and around the combat zones.
Yeah.
So,
People observing.
question for you. Not to change the subject purposely
Uh-huh.
here, but what do you think of the Black Knight satellite?
The Black Knight satellite.
Yeah.
Which one? There's a lot
That's
of
the one that
satellites.
they supposedly has been orbiting Earth for the past 13,000 years.
Oh, no. Total garbage.
Okay.
Disagree completely. No.
I've seen both sides of this.
Yep.
You know, people talking about it both ways.
Yeah. Total garbage.
Okay.
If
So
we
you don't believe there's a satellite that's been?
not for 13,000 years, no way.
Yep.
There's no way because
I would think that if there was one, we would have retrieved it.
well, if there was one, it would have been written down in history with all of the old astronomers that literally, I mean, there's no TV, there's no internet, there's no nothing. What are you doing? You're staring at the sky. That's
Yeah.
how we got to where even the Mayans, if it was around,
You'd have to see it.
Would-
What happens if you have this alien technology?
yeah.
and you can do cloaking, for example. Let's use that as
Sure.
cloaking.
Sure.
If you can cloak that satellite, you're never going to see it.
But then where did it come from?
Right.
One doesn't know.
I'm just saying, is it like, where did the idea come from?
Yeah.
Right. If it's
No.
cloaked, then it's cloaked. No one's
Yeah.
going to see it. But if it's not cloaked, then we would have seen it.
Exactly.
And there would be
I agree.
physical proof.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So no,
Okay.
no way.
So do you go along with this philosophy that there are alien presence on the dark side of the moon?
I'm torn about it.
So this Black Knight satellite conspiracy theory claims that a spacecraft of extraterrestrial origin is near the polar orbit of Earth, and NASA is covering up its existence and its origin. This conspiracy theory combines several unrelated stories into one narrative.
Yeah.
That's what that one's about.
Well, when you start going to the polar caps, I mean, this is a whole different.
Yeah.
We can blow this
game.
wide open, right?
Yeah.
The stealth.
They
box-
actually have pictures of it. Just
What?
they have pictures of it online.
So, if it's
And
a new
NASA,
satellite,
in
So if it's on- so
1998.
if it's online, it must be true.
Well, no, and it's a NASA picture in 1998. NASA,
Here it is right there on the
yeah,
screen.
right there. NASA took a picture of what they consider the Black Knight satellite.
so that I
Thank you,
mean,
Jay.
that's perfect proof. But does that mean it's been around for 13,000 years?
Yeah, I don't know where the
time came.
the dating would come from.
They're saying
but
that it's emitting a sound, and people have studied the sound, and that they have come up with a theory that it's a story it's telling,
Here's
and
another
that's where
one.
they
so
that's where they say it's.
I'm gonna have to do some
they're-
more research.
They're
into
actually
this then,
saying
because
that
it's been a while.
Nikola Tesla actually discovered it during a radio experiment in 1899.
I'm gonna have to do some more research into it. I'm not well versed enough, but that's.
I have got to look into that as well.
I will tell you one thing though. The only one thing that is a universal sound between any planets is hydrogen. It's called the wow sound, right? You can look it up. The wow sound. It's a very specific frequency that was emitted, and the sound came across the satellite station, either UK, England, maybe America. I don't remember those details, but came across once, and it was the makeup for
Hydrogen.
hydrogen.
Yeah.
That's the only one that's ever been recorded on
Yeah.
audio. So if Nikola Tesla found it on a radioactive, bounce back test or whatever he was doing, I'm not really sure. Cool, but that doesn't mean that.
It was a delayed echo bounce back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean it's 13,000 years old.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, although it does
Okay,
say
well,
it.
let's assume let's put the number of years aside.
Yeah.
Do you believe there's a black satellite or not?
Yeah, take the date
Take the
stamping
date
out
out.
of there.
Take the
Time
date
out of
out.
it. See, that's the problem.
I don't think so.
Is that we want to take something like that and we want to codify it by saying, yes, it is 13,000 years, it is 10 years, it is 50 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long.
Sure.
Is there
Is
there
it
not one
That's
there?
the question. Is it there? Is it not?
Yeah.
It is.
Well, if it's there, so just doing a preliminary on it, right? And I immediately when I first heard about this and read into it, I dismissed it. Doing a preliminary on it. If it is a satellite for some other, it's obviously not for our planet, right? We didn't put it up there. Then it would be emitting some type of something, right?
It has been less than 50 years since we were able to use X-rays. Been less than 50 years we've been able to use PET scans for cancer research.
Sure.
So
But we've had 50 years.
what we've had,
Or
we've had to
less than.
develop this.
Yeah.
So perhaps the sound it's emitting is something that we haven't discovered yet. That's the point. Is that everything is based on what we know, not what could be.
The possibilities always exist.
Yeah.
Always exist.
Well, if you want to attribute to something like that with something we all know, the prime directive in a great sci-fi show, Star Trek, where no, but if you look at a lot of things that
never
have
seen
come
that
out
show.
in Star Trek, happen we use today.
yeah.
But for those who don't know about Star Trek, Prime Directive, if they visit a non-spacefaring world, they have a standoffish attitude and they observe. They don't get involved. they may. I don't even think they even nudge the population along. But the point being is that the population is forever growing. You know, like to your point, Dad. You know, maybe I'm going to go more than 50 years ago, but let's say 80 years ago, we had no idea, you know, what an X-ray was. Yet today, X-rays are almost outdated. Where we use, you know, MRIs and echocardiograms and everything else. X-rays kind of the last.
Yeah.
Not even frequently used anymore. So we're evolving past the X-ray. So maybe that is the case. Is that what we're hearing or what we've heard? We just haven't developed the technology to translate it yet.
So but if there's a signal coming out of it, right? Whether it be a silent signal or a heat signal.
Or maybe we have discovered it, and we just are not being told that we discovered it either. That's why all these technologies are coming out.
It could be that.
But to take your point one step further, if there is a sound, it doesn't mean you're going to hear it.
No, it doesn't. But
And it doesn't mean you're going to be able to find it in any one of your frequency generators either.
Why not?
Maybe out of our spectrum.
Maybe out of our spectrum, yeah. Like we can't see, we can't
Well,
see
with
in ultraviolet.
yeah, but with our
It's there.
computing technology today, we can go to any spectrum we want to. I mean, any within our capability, understood.
Exactly.
And I understand what you're saying, but even at that, it would still produce heat. It would still maybe, from what we know, maybe
fusion?
Could be cold fusion, but it would still. There still should be. Right, some sort of
See,
detectable
that's the
something.
caveat. The caveat is should be.
Should be, and I'm open to. Believe me, I hope that that's an alien satellite.
So do I.
I really do.
I want
You know, I mean-
want to be the guy who says to the alien when he steps off the ship, "Hey, buddy, you want a beer?"
Absolutely,
I want to
absolutely.
be that guy.
You
I
know,
really do.
Well, you know, getting back to what you said, you know, our periodic table has 118 elements.
and growing.
I can guarantee you there's,
growing,
there's,
exactly.
yeah,
And
there's a
growing.
heck of a lot more than that.
Yeah,
You know,
There
out,
is.
115.
yeah,
Bob
outside
Lazar is the one who first talked about that.
yeah, outside of our planet.
Yes, he is.
So getting to your point that just because we can't hear it, see it, understand it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We just haven't figured out a way to
Exactly.
quantify it yet or
Yeah.
or understand it. So I don't know, and that can also be visual. You know,
Could be.
just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it just means that our eyes can't
Yeah.
you know distinguish it. But it doesn't mean that we aren't going to find out different ways of seeing things later.
Before I forget to tell you, so periodic table.
Fun
of
fact?
It's fun fact.
All right.
Periodic table of elements. Go look up the alternative version. I can't remember who created it. There was 2 people who created it, but if you line up the atoms of each one, there's a different periodic table of elements, and they all equate to a frequency.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to look at.
That's
check it
the
out.
reason why the armies, when they were marching soldiers across a bridge, they had them break step. Because if they're all in
Sympathetic
step
harmonics.
marching across the bridge,
Oh, yeah.
eventually that vibration that they're doing, the bridge would just collapse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's
We're-
I think we are on the verge.
The precipice, so to
Of,
speak.
well, no, not a precipice yet, but I think we are on the verge of a whole new life form being coming aboard, and
Artificial life form or an extraterrestrial life
I
form?
think an artificial life form is on the
Think so?
the horizon. Yeah, I believe so.
Showing its face or being created?
Being created here on Earth.
I don't know. Boston Dynamics is coming out with some pretty incredible AI.
Yeah,
Robotics that they're coming out with are
Yeah.
just the movements of them all are pretty lifelike, and even their ability to compute and move around.
see, that's
and
only been the last 10 years. Now take that technology and put it
another 10 years.
another 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they will. This will be a quantum.
George
leap.
Jetson
Yeah.
stuff.
It'll
It
be
is
quantum.
shits and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that you know in the past days it used to be we had a 20-year lag from like military and
Yeah.
NASA technology, and I think that's shortening every
Oh, yeah.
every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, what's happening is that you used to have defense contractors that would come up with the technology. Now you have private contractors that come out with the
Yeah.
technology and adapt that technology to military applications.
Yes.
Whereas before it was military applications adapting to, I mean, look at airplanes. Airplanes were a military invention
Yeah.
that was adapted to civilian use. Now we have drones that was a civilian use being adapted effectively
by the
in
military.
Ukraine. We can see that to
military.
military use, and I think that's where you get a lot of, getting back to your point with reverse engineering.
Yeah.
I think that's where the alien technology that has come, that is being reverse engineered for us, where
Sure.
it was possibly a military aspect to a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
And they're using this, NASA and the space program to bring that stuff back to
I
civilization.
mean, if you go back, right, World War II, when World War II kicked off, first off, Nazi Germany had no rules against tensing against people.
Exactly.
And they also had this giant inquisition for mystical / alien technology.
Yeah.
And when the war ended, a lot of those scientists were actually hired by NASA.
They were,
and the
they were hijacked by the American
They were
government.
hijacked. They were
The American
hired,
government.
and then that's what created NASA was
Yeah, there
all
was
the
100
German engineers.
147 or 157 of them were hijacked out of Germany.
Yeah.
And von Braun was the number one guy at the
Number
time.
one guy, right?
But to take his point, here's a fun fact for you.
Oh, Jim's got a fun fact.
Feeling it from Jake.
Yeah,
going on?
I like it.
The year I graduated university was the same year the U.S. military released the transistor to the general public.
Really?
Do we use transistors today?
Oh God, it's in everything.
No, we don't use.
We don't use
We
transistors
don't use
anymore.
transistors.
Transistors are on electronic equipment.
They don't use transistors.
No, we don't use
anymore.
transistors.
So what do
But
we?
you're
you-
Oh,
talking,
I'm sorry. You're right. Transistors are for analog. So that's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't
Sorry.
use transistors at all anymore.
No, we don't.
you're thinking resistors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the only place we use transistors now are in keyboards, because you can get them to vibrate at a specific frequency. That's all they're used for. So it's a fun fact for you.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
When,
That and $1.25 to get you a cup of coffee. At
when,
Stewart's.
when,
Is it still $1.25?
Might be more than that. $1.35.
when we were developing in 1980s an AGV that I helped develop, one of the fellows working
AGV?
with us, he
Auto-guided
automated
vehicle.
guided vehicle. One of the fellows working for us worked for NASA, and he smuggled out two, what would they call it, hex FETs. Hex FET is what gives you the ability to, it's a rapid switching.
Yep.
You put electric charge across the top of the hex FET, and the more the charge is, the quicker it's going to go on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yep.
That's how you control the lights digitally now and not having a heat sink.
Yeah.
You know, like the old
Yeah.
golf carts where you step on the gas, you're halfway, and the heat sink would get really, really hot.
Yep.
Well, now you're using MOSFETs and hex FETs.
Right.
Hex FET was a brand new thing in those days. Rod's claimed
So it was
to
like pre-capacitor.
yeah, Rod's claim to
Oh, Rod,
the capacitor is way behind the hex FET.
Okay.
Capacitors today they're trying to get a capacitor that they can slowly discharge, and they can't do it yet.
Actually,
Yep.
Nicholas Tesla used
Yeah.
capacitors for his
Yeah.
cattle prods,
Yeah,
not cattle
exactly.
prods,
Yeah,
but
just- yeah.
Tesla coils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, Pops.
Oh, jeez.
Hours.
We could have fun.
Man of much knowledge.
Wow. Never knew.
It's deep thoughts from shallow waters. So, but it was interesting because his fingerprints are on the original lunar lander model. His thumbprint is on one of those things that he was working on. And that was Rod's claim to fame.
That's cool.
That's Dave's.
We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to bring it in the next section. We'll be right back.